All right, welcome back, everyone. So good to see you for our fourth talk together. Now, in our journey so far, we've spent a lot of time deconstructing the problems. But today, we get to turn a corner. We're going to move from the crisis to the solution, and we're going to explore this really powerful idea, healing without brokenness.
So let's just start right here. Let this one sink in for a second. This isn't just some feel-good slogan, It's the core belief, the foundational principle that everything else we're going to talk about today is built on. The radical idea that you don't need fixing. You just need the right tools in the right space to remember the wholeness that has been there all along.
And that's the real rub, isn't it? Our story shapes us. It makes us who we are. But what happens when the story we're told about ourselves, and maybe the story we tell ourselves, is one of being damaged goods, of being defective? What happens when the very language we use to try and understand our own suffering becomes a cage?
Well, that leads us right here to what I call the prison of labels. Look, for decades, the entire world of mental health has been built around diagnosis. And these labels, they were created with the best intentions. They were meant to help, to bring order, to guide treatment. But they've had this huge unintended side effect. They can trap us in an identity of being fundamentally, permanently broken.
Let's just take a quick walk through how we got here. Every step on this timeline was a breakthrough, right? Psychoanalysis gave our suffering meaning. Behaviorism gave us discipline. The cognitive revolution taught us about our thought patterns, and the somatic turn, so crucial, brought us back into our bodies. Each one was brilliant, but they all had one thing in common. They were focused on fixing what was wrong. The unity method, it doesn't throw any of that away. It stands on the shoulders of all of it, and it integrates that wisdom under one new, powerful idea: wholeness.
So how does this prison of labels get built brick by brick? Well, it starts pretty innocently. It starts with clinical language, just a shorthand to describe a temporary state, a collection of symptoms.
But this kind of language, it never stays in the clinic, does it? No way. It spills out into our culture, into our conversations, and into our own heads. And then this tiny but really powerful shift happens. We go from saying, "I'm experiencing anxiety," to believing,
I am anxious, or I am borderline. And just like that, what was a description of an experience becomes a declaration of identity. A clinical tool becomes a psychological cage, locking us into a fixed, solid idea of who we are.
And this is the end result. This is the bottom line. It's a deeply felt, internalized belief that you aren't a whole person who is experiencing pain, but that you are a broken person who is defined by it. The very system that was designed to help us can accidentally make us feel like our struggles are permanent. So the big question is, how in the world do we break free?
We break free by changing the entire game. The Unity method starts with a philosophy of wholeness. And this isn't about pretending pain doesn't exist. Not at all. It's about changing the fundamental question we ask when we show up to do the work.
This right here is the heart of the whole thing. Wholeness isn't some destination you have to fight your way to. It's a truth about you that you just need to remember. This philosophy says that your trauma, your anxiety, they aren't proof that you're defective. They are proof of what you've survived. They are echoes of your story and your incredible adaptation.
And you can see how practical this is right here. The old question, what is wrong with you? It immediately sets you up as a problem that needs to be solved. But the Unity questions, what happened to you? What capacities remain unrecognized? They restore your dignity. They honor your story. They reframe your struggles as strengths you developed to survive. This one simple shift changes everything.
Now, this philosophy, it isn't just some abstract pie-in-the-sky idea. It is grounded in a real, practical, structured framework. It's a framework designed specifically for remembering your wholeness, not fixing what you think is broken. Let's take a look at how it's built.
Okay, so here they are, the 5 interlocking pillars. First, it all starts with wholeness, that core identity shift we've been talking about. Then, we move to the somatic pillar. Because we know trauma lives in the body, so healing has to happen in the body, through things like breathwork and grounding. Third, the relational pillar. We are wired for connection. We heal with each other. It's about learning to feel safe with another person. Fourth is neuroplasticity. This is the awesome part where we give you the science that proves, literally proves, your brain can change and rewire itself. And finally, acceptance. This is huge. It puts the power back in your hands, making healing about your relationship with your own story, not about whether you forgive someone else.
So, what does this actually look like for a real person? How does this framework take a story of pathology and transform it into a story of wholeness? Let's look at a quick example.
So let's meet Sarah. Through a traditional lens, Sarah gets labeled borderline. She's seen as a collection of problems, emotionally unstable, resistant. The message is, she's the problem. But when we look at her through the unity lens, her entire story gets rewritten. Her intensity? That's not a flaw. It's a brilliant survival strategy she developed because she had to fight like hell for love and connection. She isn't broken. She is a master of adaptation.
And this is the real game changer. The very thing that was once seen as her biggest problem, her emotional intensity, is reframed as her greatest strength, her vitality, her life force. Suddenly, the work isn't about trying to get rid of this part of her, it's about helping her learn how to harness its incredible power.
And that brings us to the really big picture here, because the Unity method isn't just about changing one person's story. It's about offering a whole new way of thinking about mental health for our entire culture.
And the vision is absolutely ambitious. We're talking about a movement to fundamentally change how we talk about mental health. The goal is for this to become a new, evidence-based pillar in therapy, right alongside things like CBT or DBT. But really, it's about creating a future where a diagnosis is just a piece of information, like a signpost on a map. It's not your destination, and it is certainly not your destiny.
So I want to leave you with this question to really sit with. What could change, for you personally, for the people you love, for our entire society, if our goal for healing wasn't this desperate scramble to fix what we think is broken, but instead it was this gentle, courageous act of remembering the wholeness that has been inside you all along? Thank you.